Alright guys, well here we are today, doing a little bit different video than I normally do, giving you kind of a start of the season, in-season little update video today, but the main topic we're going to talk about today is just a little tip and what I do for getting into or out of your stand, mostly getting out of your stand at night without spooking so many deer. That's extremely important. You know, we talk about entrance and exit strategies, but sometimes when you're hunting destination food plots, or really, anywhere, in Ohio you can bait if you're hunting like a bait pile. How are you able to get out of your stand at night when deer are still trying to come in? So that's kind of what I'm going to show today, just a little tip on what I've been doing recently and what I've done in the past with that. But just to give you a little update on how the season's going, the wife and I, we are about a week and a half into the season so far, and we've only been out once. We were out opening weekend. The weather actually opening weekend and last week, it was pretty decent compared to some opening weeks that we have here in Ohio. And in opening season we saw like 15 deer, just like some does, some small bucks in like a destination food plot. None of the shooters daylighted for us that night. This early season I'm usually trying to get my wife Mary a deer to start off, and we've had quite a few shooters of hers daylight this past week, but when you live 2 hours away from your hunting spot and you can't just take off work, and you have a little 2.5-year-old at home, it's tough to get some sits in the stand. So we're at the moment, that's what we're trying to do. I'll hunt more come when we get a little bit late October here, when I get more time. I have some vacation, I'll kind of focus and hit it hard, hit some spots when I know we have a better chance of some of the bigger bucks moving during daylight, without a doubt, without having to wait for like a cold front or weather. So that's when I'll start doing a little bit more hunting here. Recently, I'll show you some trail cam pictures here of a spot that I'll probably be hunting late October here. I initially had a camera set up at the in a bottom, coming out to a destination field. Had a couple decent bucks in velvet coming out to this destination field in kind of like a bachelor group. But then just a couple weeks ago I slid a camera down to an oak flat where I know there's been some historical scrapes, and I wanted to set up a camera there just to see see if any of these bucks kind of slid up top more, and found a scrape that had just got hit, fresh scrape, and then there was white oak, ton of white oaks up there, acorns raining, acorns everywhere. So I could tell the deer were feeding on them pretty heavy. So put a trail camera there on the scrape, and then with all the acorns around. So I'll show you some trail cam pictures of what has showed up. But I'm still kind of just bouncing around different properties, trying to look for maybe a specific buck that I want to hunt. We have a bunch of mature ones this year, 4+ years old. Couple maybe like one 5-year-old and a couple 6-year-olds. That they're nothing special, nothing giant this year so far. But so I'm just bouncing around, trying to decide who I'm going to actually go after. So to talk about the main topic of today's video, I wanted to kind of address this and just kind of tell whoever's listening what I kind of do, because I know a lot of you are probably going through this right now, hunting early season. Say you're evening hunting, which that's mostly what I do this time of year, is evening hunts, and you want to walk out. You may have maybe you have a good exit, you can slip out of the back somehow and not get seen, but some spots that you want to hunt, it's tough slipping out. If you got deer out in the field, out in your food plot, wherever, at your feeder, bait pile, whatever you're hunting on. I think some of the techniques that I've always used in the past is we like to drive, maybe drive a 4-wheeler to your stand, and then if you can have somebody pick you up in the evening, that's great. Whether it's with a vehicle, any kind of vehicle, ATV, side-by-side, whatever, can actually drive up to your tree to maybe kind of boot the deer off the field a little bit, or wherever you're hunting. That can work. Deer at least where I hunt in Ohio, and many places that I hunt in Ohio, and many places in general, and get a little more used to somebody driving in than you actually climbing down your stand and walking out. You don't want them to see you walking out. But if they see somebody drive up, farmers do it all the time. They're a little more accustomed to that. So it's going to bump them off the field, but it may not spook them to where you could send a mature buck, to a totally different zip code. So that's one thing that you can definitely do. But for a lot of cases where we're hunting, we don't have anybody to come get us. We got to get out on our own. And I hear a lot of guys say, I was sitting in the food plot and I just waited till the field cleared. Well, with me, sometimes you're hunting and it gets dark and deer just keep coming. How long are you going to wait there? You're going to wait for a couple hours? Maybe some people do, but also it gets so dark. How can you see that all the deer are actually out of your food plot or out of your field? Or, how do you know they're not coming down a trail that you're getting ready to walk out of? So something that I've done in the past is use a coyote caller. Now in the past I've used, on my cell phone, I'd have like an app for a coyote call on my cell phone, and I would set it off on my cell phone when I'm getting ready to leave. Problem is, cell phones are not, in my opinion, aren't loud enough. If there's a deer right in front of you, it's going to get them to move, but when you have deer that are like 60 to 100 yards out, your cell phone's just not loud enough to really get them moving. And I've heard guys do this before. I've heard on podcasts and other places that to actually take a coyote caller with you in the woods. So with that being said, this is what I use right here. An Icotech GC300 Gen 2. It's small. I actually carry this with me into the woods. Here's a little remote. I actually carry with me into the woods, and I'd say anywhere from about 60 to 100 yards from my stand, I will actually put this on the ground, like under a log, next to a rock, wherever, just to hide it. And I will turn it on, and I'll let it sit there all night, and I'll keep the remote in my pocket. This specific model, there really isn't an on and off switch, so I actually pop the battery out of it, but I keep the battery and the remote in my pocket while I'm hunting. And then whenever I get ready to leave, as soon as it gets dark, take the remote out, pop the battery in it, and I like to hit the top two, either the coyote female or the coyote male. Those are the ones I like to hit, and it just it keeps playing. Like it's basically like a howl. They're basically howling, and I just let them play, and it's amazing to watch the deer, how they react to it. You'll have deer that are 100 yards out in a field, and you can crank up the volume on this thing, and as soon as you hit it, boom, they become alert, and they're looking. And this is a natural sound. This is a natural sound that they hear probably every night in a lot of places that unfortunately have a lot of coyotes. A sound that they hear about every night, and the reaction is a lot of times they'll look, tails go up, and they'll jog out of the field, or you hear them jogging away from you or away from the sound. I let it run, and then I actually will get down while it's running, and I'll walk up, pick it up, and I'll leave it running even until I get out. Maybe they hear the sound moving away from them, and so then the way that I've tested this is I have cell cameras, and many places that I've used this, within 20 minutes of setting this off, I will have deer, including mature bucks, will come right back in. They'll come right back into the plot. They'll come right back to a feeder. This is a natural sound for them, and I've done it many times now, and I'm actually amazed at how well this does work. For instance, I'll tell you, last year, the buck that I shot, that's on my YouTube channel, the non-typical buck, that specific spot, you can hunt it maybe 3 times, and it not the greatest of exits. But after about 3rd time of you hunting that spot, the deer start catching on. You spook enough as you walk out, the spots kind of burn out then. Last year, I used this every single time that I hunted, and I killed my buck, I believe, on the 5th hunt out of that stand, and I saw just as many deer on that last hunt that I hunted as I did on the first hunt. And then my dad he shot another buck 2 hunts later, another, like a 7-8-year-old, we don't know how old he was, but he was old, at least 7 or 8. He killed him out of that same spot, and we've been using this when we get out, and you know, it definitely seems to work. You know, I believe this is like $100 at Cabela's, Fin Feather and Fur, wherever. For $100, you know, I believe it's like an entry level coyote collar, but it's just enough. You know what I need it for. And you know, I'm not a big gimmicky guy. I hate trying new things that I think are gimmicks. I actually hate carrying more stuff with me in the woods. Like, I struggle with bringing my ozonics in the woods half the time because I just hate bringing more stuff than I need to. But this, I have no problem bringing this into the woods with me every time. And you know, in fact, it's the point now where it's like, man, I'm scared not to use it because it does work so good to you know, clear the deer out for me to exit my stands. But yeah, and it has a range of like 300 yards, I believe. Like I said, I put it like 60 to 100, and I crank up the volume. And you know, like I said, you hit the buttons, and it's just a series, and it just, you know, repeats, and it gives you time to get your stuff together and get down and actually walk out. Alright guys, so if you're struggling to get out of your stand at night, this might be something you want to look into. It could possibly help you out for seasons to come. Alright guys, so thank you for watching the video. Hopefully you picked up a little something, and hopefully we'll get you another video here shortly of us you know, harvesting a mature buck. That'd be nice. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Good luck to everybody out there. I hope everybody kills a big one or just has fun out there in the outdoors. So we'll see you guys later. Alright, have a good one.